Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host, Neil.
I'm Neil. And who probably hasn't had a chance to watch one damn movie?
That would be David. David is not here with us again. He almost made it, but then his flight got moved, and he had to kind of like alter it, so he didn't really get a chance to get on schedule with us. So maybe he'll be back next week for The Dark Knight, which will be a fun one. But this week we are doing I Am an FBI Agent. Point Break.
Okay, thanks. Good man, you confused me there for a second.
From 1991, Point Break. A ridiculous movie, but still pretty damn entertaining.
It's entertaining because it's ridiculous.
Yes, it's another. It's kind of like a Roadhouse. It walks that fine line between entertaining and cheesy. You know, it's a high wire act of keeping it cheesy.
My son walked in and he goes, "What is this?" It's like, "Oh, this is the movie that Eric and I are going to be talking about. It's called Point Break." It was, "What's the plot?" Bunch of surfers rob banks so they can keep surfing. And he just leaned his head back and started laughing. He watched maybe 5 or 6 minutes of it. He goes, "It's supposed to be this bad?" I'm like, "Yeah, it's. I don't think they intended it to be this bad, but that's the way it came out."
Well, before we jump into Point Break, let's do what we always do. Neil, what did you watch this week?
I watched a butt ton of movies, but I only realized I should have been keeping track this morning.
Mm-hmm.
So the weather went to hell here, and we all had some time off. And rather than be productive adults and clean the house and do home repairs and all that sort of stuff, we just parked our asses on the couch and acted like old people and ate takeout food.
That sounds fun, though. That sounds actually pretty awesome to me.
It was pretty good, except towards the end, you know, my wife was like, "I can't believe I wasted all of this time off." And I'm like, "But we didn't waste it. We spent time together." And then she just kind of gave me the look. Okay, I got that. Well, and two, we recovering from sunburns because we went out. I sent you the pictures. We went over to Ano Nuevo. It's a state park here in the SF Bay area where seals and elephant seals go to have their pups.
Mm-hmm.
And we went out and hung out there and talked to like all the park folks and hiked around and checked out the elephant seals. We got to watch all the young males in the surf playing and a couple play fighting on the beach, and pretty good day, actually.
That sounds fun.
But towards the end of the day, that was when we're like, "God dang, why is my face feel so tight?" Oh, that's because I am getting sunburned.
Mm.
Arms and legs, and Sammy got it really, really bad on her neck. It was almost purple.
Ugh.
So, yeah, we spent the last couple of days just sitting around. So the movies I can remember that we watched, Sammy loves Always Be My Maybe.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
So we watched that, and she had started watching the first Star Trek reboot with Chris Pine.
Mm-hmm.
So we rewound it and watched it, and then it says, "Oh, you're done with this. Would you like to watch the next one?" We're like, "Oh, what the hell? Let's watch that one too." And then we got to after that. It was like, "Do you want to watch the last one?" Like, "Oh, what the hell? Let's just watch that as well."
What's the one that's is it Into Darkness? Is that one where they retrofit Khan, and Khan is like fucking Benedict Cumberbatch?
Yes.
Yeah, that's I was out.
He actually didn't do too bad.
Yeah, but it's Ricardo Montalban.
I know, but
and
this
it's
is
Khan Noonien Singh.
Well, he doesn't look Indian to you. Have you ever been to Great Britain? For some people that tried to dominate that whole entire subcontinent, that subcontinent has come right back and said, "You will fucking love our food." I mean, you can't swing a kebab or curry in London without hitting kebabs and curry.
Mm-hmm.
And I love cooking shows, and every damn cooking show that comes out of the UK is won by an Indian person. So I think that they're totally getting their revenge.
Interesting.
Yeah, so good. And then we watched Megan Levy. We watched that today as well.
Megan Levy. I've never even heard of that one.
It's a true story about a woman who joined the Marines, was injured in combat, got a Purple Heart, but she was a dog handler, and her dog got injured as well. And I guess it was deemed unadoptable. And she went through some shit in combat, and she had some hard times readjusting, but wanted the dog because the dog was considered a war hero as well. And she's like, why is it being forced to go back when I'm not? And then I actually looked it up. She went on this whole entire campaign to like, let this dog retire and live a good life. Let me take care of it. She went and got senators involved. She did all sorts of interviews, and eventually got the dog back, and it lived with her for the last 7 months of its life, like in the States, in like dog paradise, basically. Mm-hmm. So we watched that movie. That was actually really good. I know a lot of Marines, so I'm going to be asking them, how true like some of the depictions of Marines in combat are. I'm pretty sure I know what the answers are going to be because they're all old, crusty Marines, but we'll see how that goes. And dude, I mean, I watched so many damn movies, but that's just the last 2 days right there.
Did you watch Talk to Me or no?
Oh, I did. Shit. Uh-huh. I forgot. And I actually even wrote that down because I wanted to tell you about it. I will Talk to Me because we went through and started looking at this whole list of Studio A24 movies.
Yeah.
That we want to watch because some of their movies are trippy as hell.
Yeah. I saw Lamb when I was at a conference like a year or two ago, and that was freaky as hell. Mm-hmm. It was really weird. Yeah.
Yeah. The first one I really remember, I mean, they did movies, but I didn't know it was Studio A24. And I forget off the list what we were reading, but the one that I was like really, really first aware of was Men. Mm-hmm. Joe saw it. He goes, I want to go see this, Dad. Sure, let's go see it. And like they did Bodies, Lamb. There's a whole slew of them.
Yeah, like Midsummer and
that I haven't seen.
Hereditary.
Yeah,
Hereditary is amazing.
Yeah, Hereditary is also very good. So I jotted down in my notes on my phone a whole list of those that I want to watch, and I've got to get to that Nicolas Cage A24 film where he's appearing in people's dreams. Mm-hmm. And then there's another Nicolas Cage movie where apparently he's a retired hitman.
I think I just saw that preview.
Yeah, the other day. He's like a grandpa. I'm like, these are all things. This is why, and I hope you're listening, universe. This is why I should have won that lottery money and not that dude in Oregon. Because I have so many movies I need to watch, and I don't have time. Mm-hmm. Well, I already told you, when I win the lottery, you're going to be okay. You will be able. Versa.
If I do, then you would be.
Yeah, too, so. Yeah. Fuck Dave, but he's totally like, hey, Eric, what are you going to do today? You're going to say, Neil, I'm going to watch movies. Hell yeah, I'm going to do that too. That's it.
Then we can full time and make this place a video podcast where we could actually like have good editing and and it would be more fun. It would be a lot of fun. So
and then we'd have to get ourselves a staff, people that we could abuse, like verbally on the podcast.
Yeah,
not that I would do that. I mean, you probably would because you're kind of a dick. But
yeah. So what did you think of Talk to Me?
Talk to Me. I liked it. Really, really predictable. And I kind of, it's one of those things you see where it's going, but it does have that weird, odd moodiness that A24 movies are really good with. Mm-hmm. And like the strange silence and, just like the weird long shots on the characters that I've seen in a couple of their films. But I really liked it. My wife enjoyed it too. She was even asking like, well, what do you think this actually was, in this? I don't want to give the movie away, but there's some questions.
I still haven't seen the T.I. West trilogy with X or triple. I think it's X or triple X. And then there is Pearl and then there's Maxine. It's like a 3, it's like a Mia Goth is the character. And it's like the first one, X is like these people are like on a set of a porno shoot, and then there's a slasher, and then there is a prequel called Pearl where the Mia Goth's character is younger, and then there's a new one called Maxine, which is like she's trying to be an aspiring actress, the same character, and it's set in the 80s, late 70s, early 80s, where the Night Stalker is happening, set in the sleazy underworld in LA. So the Maxine is coming out soon. It looks pretty good. So I kind of need to check those out because T.I. West does interesting stuff. Like House of the Devil was a really good movie.
Yeah, I know the movies you're talking about. I remember seeing it, but again, not enough time.
Mm-hmm. And Late Night with the Devil's coming out on Shudder on the 27th, I think. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
definitely looking forward to that one. All right, I had time off this week. You were working. What did you watch?
I actually watched two things. Since college basketball is over and I have more time to like watch movies and stuff, I watched American Werewolf in London again.
Nice.
It was on Showtime, and
Such
it's
a
amazing.
Great ending. Such a great ending.
Still amazing. I really, really liked kind of the relationship story more this time with the Jenny Agutter's character with the nurse. I can't remember his name right now, her name, but with David, and the guy who of course turns into werewolf and stuff. That was really, I think I noticed that more watching it this time. And I have YouTube TV and it seems to be way clearer than cable. And I was watching like when Jack comes back the first time and you can see he's all cut up and stuff. Well, you could really notice the little pieces of flesh on his neck kind of wiggling. And so, yeah, and stuff. You notice it way more. It's much more clear and fun. So that's freaking classic. And speaking of classic, I watched part of Aliens this week. It was on HBO. And it's just another amazing movie, which we have done both those movies we've done episodes on. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. And speaking of James Cameron and Aliens, he and Catherine Bigelow, James Cameron and Catherine Bigelow did a rewrite on the script of Point Break. And it does have a lot of Cameronisms in it. I think he has a certain view of like way hipsters look or what's hip or whatever. Mm-hmm. I don't know. It's just the more when I watched it this time, knowing that he did the rewrite, the more I can pick like James Cameronisms in the movie. So let's talk about Point Break, bruh.
He's a gnarly sucker crawling up towards your ear, bruh.
Point Break from 1991. Do you want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline?
An FBI agent goes undercover to catch a gang of surfers who may be bank robbers.
Who may? How about are? And right off the top, I want to talk about Anthony Kiedis' portrayal in this, in this movie.
Yeah.
He is not much of an actor. And I guess he didn't show up for fight choreography day. So the director said, okay, well, you're going to get your ass kicked really bad during this fight scene, which he did. He gets laid out a couple of times. That would be a waste of time. Yeah, he looks ridiculous. Yeah. I think I wrote a pun in there about Anthony Kiedis. What did it go? I don't want to give it away, but Anthony Kiedis is in this movie.
Okay, if we've got to go Red Hot Chili Pepper acting, I'm going to say in the Back to the Future franchise, Flea in his truck's got to take the
yeah, Flea is a better actor than Anthony Kiedis, I'd imagine. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. So this movie was directed by Catherine Bigelow. Catherine Bigelow is a good director, but she's not very prolific. She's got there's like a gap in a lot of her filmography. She, of course, did Near Dark, which is a classic. We talked about that some episodes ago.
Such a good movie. Super
good movie. She did a movie called The Loveless, which starred Willem Dafoe as like an outlaw biker drama. And then she did Near Dark in 87, which is really good. She did Blue Steel, which is a cop movie with Jamie Lee Curtis. I kind of remember it. Don't remember it too much.
Yeah, I remember. I didn't see it. And it's interesting that you mentioned Willem Dafoe, because I guess Willem Dafoe and at some point Matthew Broderick were considered for the role of Johnny Utah.
Really? Matthew Broderick? That'd be weird.
Would the internet lie? Would the internet lie?
No. So life moves at you pretty fast. Sometimes you got to go undercover as a surfer, bro. Then she did Strange Days, which is a pretty good movie with Angela Bassett and Ralph Fiennes and Juliette Lewis. She did a movie called Undertow. Well, I guess she wrote it. She didn't direct it. The Way to the Water, which is a murder mystery, which I have not seen. K-19, The Widowmaker. I have not seen that one.
Nope.
Then she did The Hurt Locker, which she won an Academy Award for Best Director, and it won the Best Picture. She's only a female director so far to win Best Director. Then she did Zero Dark 30, which is a good movie. And then a movie called Detroit about some riots in 1967. So she has she's done some good movies, but she doesn't really have a huge number of movies that she's directed. And it's kind of funny because even in her Wikipedia page, it says that she has a list of unrealized projects, and she almost directed Wolverine and the X-Men in 1989. It said Carol Co. Pictures were in talks to do a X-Men movie. And this is the one where Bob Hoskins was supposed to be Wolverine, which would be pretty interesting because Bob Hoskins is Wolverine height and Wolverine Harry.
And Wolverine Harry. Really quick though, the weight of water. If we go metric, 1 liter of water weighs 1 kilogram.
Okay.
Just so you know.
The weight of the water.
Yeah, that's like 8.3 pounds, which, I mean, metric 1, never mind. Anyway.
Mm-hmm. But Angela
1 liter, 1 kilogram. See how much easier that would be? And just moving decimals around rather than all these like fractions and all this dumb shit. Think of all the stress we could take away from our children.
I was told there would be no math in this podcast.
Very good. Okay.
But on the fantasy casting scale, Angela Bassett was attached to star as Storm. She would have been an awesome Storm. I don't know how well they could have done it back in 1989, but she would have been an awesome Storm. She's definitely got the look and muscles and acting chops to be a good Storm. So that would have been interesting. She has a ton of unrealized projects in the 90s and the 2000s. She's got a lot of things that she wanted to do, but didn't really get to do. But yeah, if you look at her, she's 72, but does not look anywhere near 72 years old. But going back to Point Break, this was a screenplay by W. Peter Iliff, and he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. I don't know anything else he wrote besides this movie.
Thanks for this, W. Peter Iliff. What are those W for? Who would do that?
I know.
W.
He's
Peter.
kind of pretentious. Yeah. It'd be like E. Steven Johnson. Yeah. I just gave my full name away on the podcast. But James Cameron and Catherine Bigelow did an uncredited rewrite of the final script, and they polished it up. James Cameron came up with the dead president's idea and the masks, and kind of added a lot more action, and probably a lot of the surfer mumbo jumbo that is in this movie, which is kind of annoying as shit.
Yeah. If you want, I'll tell everyone my middle name.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have a middle name.
You don't, do you? I remember that.
Nope. My dad almost got screwed out of coming back from Vietnam because of his middle name. Because there was another Larry D, and he got screwed over, and he almost didn't get to come home. So my dad said, "Nope, I'm not going to do that to my kid. No middle name."
Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah. Also,
you know, I need to have the "more you know" sound queued up. I need to find that.
And that was when my father served in Vietnam before the U.S. government fucked him over after dumping Agent Orange on him and causing him to have cancer, lupus, and dementia, and denying that shit for years while it fucking tore us apart as far as medical bills and what was going on, for them finally to take some responsibility for that. So love your country, hate your government, respect the people who have served. Okay, I'm done. Fucking stupid government screwed my dad over for years. Okay, I'm good. It's out of my system now.
It got a little real. It got a little too real there. So budget was $24 million. Box office was $84 million.
I was a part of that box office, baby.
Yeah, same here. Did we go see this together?
Yes, we did.
Yeah. Released July 12th, 1991. I think our friend Jason probably went with us. We probably went to a Chelsea's London pub beforehand and had nachos and iced tea and pigged out before the movie.
Yep.
And paid $5 per ticket or something.
Or it's just a ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, and probably went to the Fun Factory and played Golden Axe.
I need to ask you a question about that game.
Yeah.
So good.
Mm-hmm.
So good. That mall is not what it was. When I was back there, I went inside and I sent you video of it. It was so
sad.
disappointing.
going back to your hometown mall makes you realize how small your hometown is, and how when you're young you think, man, this mall is happening, and it's really just, it's pretty lame.
What's funny is I just couldn't wait to get out of there. Like, I need to get to a big city. So I live in a really big city. And now that I'm getting older, I'm like, fuck this place. I want to live someplace small. I am so sick of living in this city.
Mm. Yeah, once I retire, we'll probably go in waves.
Comes in waves.
The circle is complete.
Comes in waves, bro. And you got to be there every 50 years. Every 50 years.
It'll change your life, bro. It's the source, man.
God dang it.
So the cast, of course, we got Patrick Swayze as Bodhisattva, and Keanu Reeves is FBI agent Johnny Utah, former Ohio State quarterback. And this thing that it kind of this is a thing in the movie that drives me nuts. First, if you're the quarterback of Ohio State, you're very well known. Ohio State is one of the biggest football programs in the United States.
Can I tell you a little secret? Can I tell you a little secret? I wouldn't know who the hell the quarterback was.
You wouldn't know that person is. But also, how familiar are your average surfers with college football? It just seemed a little out of like, hey man, we saw him play. You know, like, weren't you guys too busy getting stoned and having fires by the beach and doing all this other kind of stuff? I don't know really if they're going to sit in all the time and watch college football a lot. It just seemed like a contradiction.
Spend all the time watching college football and talking about movies.
Yeah, exactly. You know, instead of catching that perfect wave, bro.
Well, they're out surfing in the morning.
Yeah. So Gary Busey, being Gary Busey, as FBI agent Angelo Pappas, he is just, it was just perfect Gary Busey in this movie. Not too crazy, pretty crazy, but also believable as a hardened, like, you know, veteran FBI agent who doesn't give a shit about, like, the, you know, the hierarchy of the FBI and whatever. So this is prime Gary Busey. This is
Predator 2 Busey.
Predator 2, dang it, I can't say it. Predator 2 Busey was pretty insane. Also, Lethal Weapon Busey was pretty insane as well. So you know what you're getting with Gary Busey.
Was it Mr. White? What did they call him?
He was Mr. Dang, he wasn't Mr. White. He was like something.
I forget what they called him.
Yeah.
This man's forgotten more about dispensing pain than you'll ever know. I'm like, but shut up. Let's get to the torture and let's let Al Leong do his thing.
Lori Petty as Tyler Ann Endicott, who I did not believe was a believable love interest for Keanu Reeves. They could have picked somebody a little more, I don't know, attractive. Sorry, that was mean. That's me just, you know. Yeah. She's too mousy for me.
You know, she may have had many other qualities that were written into the script that didn't get filmed, and here you are being just vapid, basing it all on.
I know I'm being completely vapid. So yeah,
it's disappointing, man.
John C. McGinley is FBI Director Ben Harp, and he is like acting to the hilt with every cop cliche boss that you could have. Come in my office. I'll bust you down. What the hell is a blue flame special?
Yeah, I was a little bit curious about about some of the things they said. Okay, let's go here. Blue flame special.
Maybe you burn hotter. Blue is it burns hotter as a temperature than like orange or something. I don't know. That's just
a derogatory term that borrows from both the concept of the blue plate special and the practice of blue flaming to suggest a generic knucklehead.
Oh, okay. That's very seems very outdated. You're like a rapscallion, you see?
There's a term VCs use for their ideal investment candidates, blue flame. It refers to young people, preferably in their 20s, with lots of energy and no kids. A blue flame is a fire that is burning at its brightest. A blue flame anyway.
Yeah.
There's some things from the internet, and we know the internet would not lie to you.
Yes, of course. So let's talk about Keanu Reeves' filmography a little bit. He has been in a shitload of movies.
That's a New Mexican load of movies right there.
Load of movies. The first thing I do remember him in was River's Edge, where he plays Matt, the kind of like
Why is it? I get
Matt.
that neither of us can get away from it. Every time we refer, there's something about one of his lines where you got to draw it out. It was Matt.
He was Matt. He was like the only guy in his friend group with a conscience that he like cared that this girl got murdered. I really like River's Edge. It was such a bleak teen movie. Dennis Hopper and Crispin Glover just going and go, just acting crazy as fuck in that movie. And then I remember him in Dangerous Liaisons having a terrible accent and not really fitting in as the Chevalier d'Ancenet, who was the young paramour of Uma Thurman's character.
I don't think he was hired for necessarily his accent ability for that movie. I Love You to Death.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Bill and Ted, of course.
Oh, of course.
So this is the first movie where he kind of broke out of his kind of all, artsy type movies and Point Break, where he was kind of cast against type. And he did a pretty good job. And I think, this movie and Speed really kind of put him in that action hero zone. Of course, he was Jonathan Harker in Bram Stoker's Dracula. Budapest. He is very good in movies where he is physical, like Speed and The Matrix and John Wick.
He's got that one. He's got that 1 foot that canters in. That 1 foot. He's always walking. If you look, he's always got 1 foot that looks like it's kind of toes in a little bit. Huh. Just watch.
I'll have to watch it now. Yeah, but he was good in Speed. That really kind of put him on the map. This movie, but the Speed kind of solidified his acting chops. Devil's Advocate is pretty good. It's one of those, Al Pacino yelling, and there's nudity, and there's like the devil and stuff like that. Charlize Theron.
Always Be My Maybe.
We should do that movie sometime.
Oh yeah, Always Be My Maybe. He was in that.
Oh really?
Yeah, he sort of plays like a weird version of himself, where he's dating the main character who's like a famous chef, and they're asking like, what would you like to eat? And he goes, do you have any dishes that play with the concept of time? Just like weird.
Have you seen the movie The Gift? And it was directed by Sam Raimi and has Billy Bob Thornton and Cate Blanchett and Katie Holmes and stuff like that. Keanu Reeves plays an asshole, like wife beating jerk, and he's so good in it. It is like totally against type. And Cate Blanchett's like a psychic, and it's kind of a scary movie. Sam Raimi directed it, and it's got a lot of good people in it. It was directed it came out in 2000, and it's a really good movie. And you kind of forget how that Keanu Reeves plays against type totally, and it's a movie worth watching. We should do it sometime. It's a good one.
I remember seeing bits of it, never the whole film, but I remember seeing pieces of it, but I couldn't tell you what it was about. So now I know what it's about, and yes, it sounds interesting.
Constantine, which I have not seen. I heard there are people who are fans of it. I have not seen it.
If you divorce what you know about Constantine from the comic books, it's not bad. Mm-hmm.
He was in 47 Ronin, which looked cool visually, but I never saw. I mean, like it looked like
it looks cool visually. That's what it does. Oh, dude, if you haven't watched Constantine, that is one of the best cinematic devils ever. Mm-hmm. Ever. Right next to...
I've read that in some like lists and stuff, yeah.
That dude is so good. And then the next one has to be, the guy that played Aragorn.
Viggo Mortensen
in The Prophecy. His was really good too.
Yeah, he was good in that one.
Those are the top ones. And I love me some sacrilege in movies. Yeah. Love it.
So, but now he's riding high on the John Wick franchise. So he was cool. It was cool to see him. He's from all accounts, a super, super nice guy. He's had some tragedy in his life, with his wife, like his wife died or his girlfriend died after she, if you just read about it, there's all these sorts of things about, he kind of is a really low key introverted guy, but all accounts seems to be pretty cool. And he's pretty good in this movie. He's good, but his acting is
hit and miss.
Hit and miss, yes. Yes. Do you want to hit us with a critical consensus?
Yes. I will not miss. On nothing? Damn you.
Oh, sorry, a little late on that one.
Jeez. All right, Rotten Tomatoes. The film holds an approval rating of 70% based on 76 reviews with an average rating of 6.2 out of 10. The website's critical consensus reads, absurd, over the top, and often wildly entertaining. Point Break is here to show you that the human spirit is still alive. That would have been a better tagline than IMDb, honestly. Metacritic gives it a weighted average score of 58 out of 100 based on 20 critics, indicating mixed or average reviews. Audiences polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+, which makes way more sense because the movie is just kind of stupid fun.
Mm-hmm.
Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times gave the film 3.5 stars out of 4.
I did watch the At the Movies video of him and Gene Siskel arguing about it. Gene Siskel thought it was overstuffed and didn't work for him. He had said there was some good things about it, but Roger Ebert loved it.
Oh, yeah.
He enjoyed it hook, line, and sinker, the whole deal.
Okay, here's yeah. Oof, let's go with what he had to say here. Bigelow is an interesting director for this material. She is interested in the ways her characters live dangerously for philosophical reasons.
Mm-hmm.
That was just some bullshit those guys were throwing out. I wouldn't call any of that philosophy. They aren't men of action, but men of thought.
Yes,
if you didn't think Roger Ebert was special before, now you know. Men of thought who chose action as a way of expressing their beliefs. In her review for the New York Times, here she comes, Janet Maslin praised Reeves' performance. A lot of the snap comes, surprisingly, from Mr. Reeves, who displays considerable discipline and range. He moves easily between the button-down demeanor that suits a police procedural story and the loose-jointed manner of his comic roles. Entertainment Weekly gave the film a C+ rating, and Owen Gleiberman wrote, Point Break makes those of us who don't spend our lives searching for the ultimate physical rush feel like second-class citizens. The film turns reckless athletic valor into a new form of aristocracy.
Wow. I think Owen Gleiberman was picked last in gym class, and
he was.
Regrets
yes. This movie is responsible for some of the dumbest choices I've ever made, though.
Mm-hmm.
It really is. And I can tell that story later when we get there.
Okay, I was going to say you're going to have to expound on that.
In his review for the Washington Post, Hal Hinson wrote, a lot of what Bigelow puts up on the screen bypasses the brain altogether, plugging directly into our viscera, our gut. The surfing scenes in particular are majestically powerful, even awe-inspiring. I got to hand him that. Those were really cool.
Yeah.
That made me like, man, I wish I could swim and I would go learn how to surf. And yes, I live on the coast and I don't know how to swim. I grew up in a desert. I wasn't worried by tsunamis. You can stick your judgment straight up your ass. Bigelow's picture is a feast for the eyes, but we watch movies with more than our eyes. She seduces us, then asks us to be bimbos.
Taking this personally, geez.
Yeah, but see, honestly though, I would have no problem with that myself. Rolling Stone magazine's Peter Travers wrote, Bigelow can't keep the film from drowning in a sea of surf speak, but without her, Point Break would be no more than an excuse to ogle pretty boys in wetsuits. USA Today gave the film 2 out of 4 stars, and Mike Clark wrote, it's purely visceral material. Surf sounds, skydiving stunt work, a tough indoor shootout midway through are first rate. As for the tangibles that matter even more, script, acting, directorial control, credible relationships between characters. Break defies belief. Dramatically, it rivals the lowest surf yet this year. Time Magazine's Richard Corliss wrote, how do you rate a stunningly made film whose plot buys so blithely into macho mysticism that it threatens to turn into an endless bummer?
Ooh, pun.
Sick burn. Looks 10. This is something that's been said about me. Looks 10, brains 3. So I can relate to this movie in so many ways now. Shut your whore mouth. Don't comment on that. Critics have commented on the central buddy relationship of Bodie and Johnny and on unusually equal dynamic in the romantic relationship of Tyler and Johnny, which Bigelow changed Peter Illiff's original script to create. Tyler is a muscled, brash waitress with an androgynous name, Tyler, and physical features. And Johnny's feminine edges nudge in nicely to her masculine ones. In nearly every scene they share, they are portrayed by the camera as equals.
Mm-hmm.
Well, somebody's working through some things. Okay. Like, oh my God, why isn't she like super skinny with huge boobs? What could possibly be with someone with an active lifestyle with short hair that has muscles because they're out there paddling out into the surf? Holy shit.
I ask the same questions, Ken.
Yes. I'm going to hold up the baklava I was eating right before we got on. I've been eating like shit this last whole week. It's been beautiful. In 2006, a special edition was released on DVD. In DVD, it was re-released on May 22nd, 2001. Entertainment Weekly gave it a B rating and wrote, "The making of docs at their best, discussing Swayze's extracurricular skydiving that really is him doing the Adios Amigo fall, will leave you hanging." In 2021, Keith Duggan, reflecting on Point Break 30 years later, wrote in the Irish Times, "For more than any other film of that time, Point Break seemed to announce what lay ahead in the grungy, baggy, anything-goes 1990s with greed and anti-capitalist forces clashing, America emitting its last lion's roar of unfettered optimism, and the quest for one's precious spirit moving from the remnants of the hippie era into the multi-billion-dollar health and spirituality industry." Yup. In the Irish Times. See what I did there? Yeah. Standing on a stormy beach in 1991, old Bodie had a pretty clear view of the next 3 decades.
Where are my lucky charms?
Where are they? Yeah. Well, a lot of people, you know what? I really think that Dave missed his calling as a movie critic. Because a lot of these guys seem to be working out their own shit in these reviews. Like, can you show us on the celluloid where the film touched you to hurt you?
Yeah, it took a little too personally. Yeah,
took it real personal.
I included some things about the legacy because I think that's pretty funny.
Okay. The Daily Telegraph wrote that the film certainly qualified as a cult favorite. Furthermore, Rolling Stone called Point Break the greatest female gaze action movie ever, citing the bodily connection of Reeves and Swayze, calling it a wet western. The 2001 film The Fast and the Furious was developed by Rob Cohen and Neil H. Morowitz as a reimagined version of Point Break, following Paul Walker as an undercover cop tasked with infiltrating the world of underground street racers instead of surfers. Officially inspired by the 1998 Vibe magazine article Racer X by Ken Lee.
All right, so we have listener email. Ryan, one of our most loyal writers or listeners, says, please include that how the first Fast and Furious, excuse me, starting again. Listener Ryan says, while watching Point Break, think about how the first Fast and Furious movie is basically a remake of Point Break. I say, yep, we'll comment on that because, yeah, it is basically almost a complete ripoff of Point Break, just with cars, not surfing.
Oh, how great it would have been to hear Patrick Swayze just utter the words "family."
I live my life a quarter mile at a time, bro.
Okay, Point Break. Point Break was listed in the VH1 series I Love the 90s on the episode 1991. Many celebrities, including Dominic Monaghan, Mo Rocca, Michael Ian Black, Hal Sparks, and Chris Pontius, commented about the film and why it deserved to be included in the episode. Entertainment Weekly ranked Point Break as having one of the 10 best surfing scenes in cinema. The film inspired a piece of cult theater, Point Break Live, in which the role of Johnny Utah is played by an audience member chosen by popular acclamation after a brief audition. Wow. The new Keanu reads all his lines from cue cards from the duration of the show to capture the rawness of a Keanu Reeves performance, even from those who generally think themselves incapable of acting. Is that a compliment or an extreme diss? Point Break was referenced in Hot Fuzz. I mean, I've talked about this, man. This is why Hot Fuzz is so great. They reference so many awesome movies where the scene of Utah emptying his magazine into the sky in frustration is watched by the lead characters and later reenacted by Nick Frost's character. Have you ever jumped while firing two guns? It's just so great.
So let's talk about the plot a little bit.
Plot?
I do agree that there is very stylish directing. Catherine Bigelow does know how to capture, the scenes very well. The skydiving footage was amazing. The surfing footage was amazing. Has one of the best foot chase scenes in movies where it's just pure steady cam for a long time during that one foot chase. So that is really what it has going for it on the plus side in the, really fun, good filmmaking side of it. But what it doesn't have is believable characters or a insane plot. But, at the beginning, Keanu Reeves is drenched in water going through his shooting qualifications, rolling around everywhere, looking cool, giving that thumbs up.
I got thumbs up. Yeah. Way to go.
And he's a part of the FBI bank robbery unit, and he's got a ball-busting boss played by John C. McGinley.
Ooh, look at you. Eric coming in with the alliteration, ball-busting boss.
I almost messed up there. But he's a Blue Flame special.
That's right.
We talked about that. With the name of Johnny Utah. Johnny Utah.
Yeah, I know. I'm writing a screenplay that's got Eric, New Mexico in it.
Billy, Wyoming. And of course, Gary Busey being Gary Busey. The bank robbery the bank robbery scene is done pretty well. Them capturing it in 90 seconds and getting the drawers. And it's just, all the action is done really, really well. I do love Gary Busey's Buseyisms when he was given, when Johnny Utah's giving him shit. And he's like, I was taking rounds of case on while you're crapping in your hands and rubbing it on your face.
Should have had you order me 3 of these because I'm hungry enough to eat the ass end out of a dead rhino.
Utah, give me 2. Give me 2.
Give me 2.
And he's saved by our manic pixie dream surfer girl.
Pixie dream surfer girl. Wow.
Yeah.
That's Tank Girl. That's not Surfer Girl. That's Tank Girl.
Tank Girl. I've actually never saw Tank Girl.
Really? I liked the comic. The movie, not so great.
Mm-hmm. So she saves his ass from drowning, and then he comes up with this story about how, his parents died to win her emotions. Isn't it? What are the chances that the first girl you meet that pulls you out of the water happens to be involved with the main suspect of the case that you're working?
It's the beach of extreme coincidence.
Yeah, it's a little coincidental. There's not that many beaches in California.
Oh no, no, dude. There's beaches that you won't even know that there's beaches. We were just driving from Santa Cruz up to Ano Nuevo. There's a few state beaches, but you'll just be driving along and then you'll see like 16 cars just jammed into very little space, like along the side of the road. And there was nobody on the road because we left really early. I slowed down and would have never seen it. And I've driven that chunk of road, I don't know how many times. And there's a little tiny path. So when we stopped, I got on Google Maps and looked and there's a little beach down there. And even from the Google Map perspective, you could see there were dudes out surfing.
Mm-hmm. That's
so
cool. But
you can't
just happen to get really lucky, just
it's
this girl that pulled me from the wind.
Coincidence.
So Bodhisattva, which means the one who seeks awakening. He's a real searcher, man. He's a real searcher. That's what people say about me. I'm a real searcher.
Yeah, you search reels of movies.
Bodhisattva is actually a very good Steely Dan song.
I couldn't name one Steely Dan song if you asked me.
Ricky, Don't Lose That Number. Hey 19.
No.
Peg.
No,
Aja.
Whoa.
Deacon Blues.
That Peg thing. Keep your personal life out of this. We're talking songs right now.
I do love me some Steely Dan. That is like my dad rock kind of like weakness. Steely Dan. Oh my God, they're so good. Amazing musicians with really demanding, just demand a lot out of their musicians in the studio and just perfectionists. Really good stuff. Love me some Steely Dan.
So we're driving on the coast, one of the coast, and it wasn't I don't think it was on our Ano Nuevo trip. And we were in the car kind of early and the boys in the back with his headphones in. And Sammy's like, you know what? I think I'm going to play some music that you might like. just because you're going to be driving. And it's, coming in some of these roads, if you're going between like Highway 1 and, you've got like 87 as it's going up to San Francisco. There's all these little like twisty roads that goes through all this like forests and all these little hills and shit and all these weird little towns that we like to go and kind of check out. So she puts on like early death metal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was enjoying it, but she was having a hard time. And then Merciful Fate, and then King Diamond came on, and when he started singing Abigail, so good. And you know what? I can still hit those high notes, as I demonstrated for my wife and the child. She's like, "Oh my God, you can't believe you know this! Oh, it's amazing."
This is the second episode in a row we've talked about King Diamond.
Yeah,
Let me help you out of your chair.
Good grandma. And it came back up in real life. So thank you for helping me manifest that, so I didn't have to listen to my wife's music for a 3-hour drive. Appreciate that.
So they play football on the beach, and this is when you first see that sexual tension between Bodhi and Utah as they refuse to back down, and they chase each other into the waves. And he's
he made him wet.
Like I said, it's weird that these surfers are such football fans. And the whole thing that made me laugh is they go to this party at Bodhi's house, and everybody is just out of like central casting for surfer stereotypes. And there's the girl doing the little arm wavy thing, and the guy's just it's just everybody's just too hip to just too hip for words.
Could have been worse. They could have had Jackie Chan's folks pick the extras.
Yeah, it's true. They would have all looked like stereotypical punks with the mohawks and sprayed hair, and bad. So this is an actual line from the movie. Back off, war child. Seriously. Somebody wrote that.
Yeah, well, that's his nickname. He explains it. It's his real name, and that's what he goes by. Are you so jaded by this that you didn't listen to the actual dialogue?
I did listen to the dialogue.
That's just his nickname.
Man, Johnny really walked off that beating he took by those guys.
Yeah, no shit. He just jumped up and around.
He was fine after like getting like some guy, choking you, holding your arms, and some other guy just like wailing away on your on your midsection. And then he's cool. He just kind of plays it off, and he's fine. Nothing a little, ibuprofen won't help with. He's good.
You know what would help? Getting in a fist fight with a naked chick.
That part was one of the most memorable parts of the movie, where they go just on a whim. They figure that, hey, and I think even on the pitch meeting on YouTube that I always think are funny, there's some guys like, hey, these really reckless, out of control surf guys, maybe these are the guys who do these really controlled bank robberies. These are the guys, that just seems out of place. And he doesn't do any background on him, doesn't realize the DEA is maybe running a program on him. But this is in the 90s, so maybe they didn't have that much interagency cooperation. So they wound up screwing up a DEA bust. But meanwhile, Anthony Kiedis gets his Reebok pumps pumped full of lead. That was a nice squib shot there. And then Keanu Reeves gets his ass kicked or Johnny Utah gets his ass kicked by a naked lady in the shower. This is another Roadhouse connection, played by the guy who was Brad Wesley's girlfriend in Roadhouse, the one who did the sexy dance in Roadhouse, and who got beat up, and when Dalton went to check on him, meet Brad Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
She's a stunt woman. And she could deliver, convincingly throw a punch.
While naked.
Yes. Yes. I do like how close it appeared that Keanu's face got to that lawnmower. That lawnmower, bereft of any sort of safety devices.
Yeah, the really, really like old school.
Yeah, old school lawnmower, totally open, blades just spinning. No emergency stop when you let go of the handle or anything like that. It's going to chew your face off with this lawnmower.
I never thought that those things until I saw this movie that those things actually had motors. I always thought that was the kind of one you had to just sit there
they
and
pushed.
jam
Yeah.
back and forth to try to get it
Those
to
are
operate.
awful. Oh my God, those are the worst. The hand push mower. Yeah.
Never runs out of gas. It works every time.
Yeah, it was a workout. So that was a pretty cool shot. A little Tom Sizemore is a DEA agent. A little cameo there. I don't even know it was a cameo. Maybe it was just a bit part, but you go, hey, I know that guy. That's Tom Sizemore. And then they mentioned
he actually brought some of his own meth for the shoot. 2 keys worth. Metric system. Right there. 2 kilograms. That's the way to 2 liters of water.
More
right
math,
there.
Neil.
Okay.
The car chase is pretty cool where, he's going to get some meatball subs and the freaking robbery's happening right behind him. And that was a good car chase. I always thought the gas pump flamethrower was pretty cool looking. I don't know if that would work. I don't know if you would blow yourself up. And of course, you flick your Zippo lighter near, gas and it doesn't explode.
With all that gas on the ground.
I know.
Like that, no flames. Dude. Yep. I mean, we grew up a little more rural than other people. There was a time when there was no trash service. So what did you do with your trash? You took it out to the barrel and back, and what did you do?
You burn it up.
You burned it. What was the one thing your parents would not let you do until you had proven yourself? You didn't get to pour gasoline on shit and light it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm. For that very reason. And I remember the first time I did, I soaked it and then lit the match, and it looked like the air fucking caught fire before it whooshed into the thing and did that. No, every time I see that, all I can think of is just the accuracy of Ben Stiller.
He's in Zoolander and they're washing the car and with the gas pump. Yeah, that was pretty funny. The fire stunt is pretty cool though when he's got the Ronald Reagan mask on and his suit is on fire. There were some good fucking stunts in this movie.
The poor dog wins the whole schmear. He gets the whole thing.
I did read that they practiced. The dog was trained, and the owner was used to throwing him like 2 feet. So that part is a real dog getting thrown, and they cut away to a fake dog when Keanu kicks it away. So that's some fancy editing and a nice little.
You get a little noise.
Yeah, exactly. Once you get the little squeal noise, that's pretty well edited. But that foot chase is pretty damn awesome until Utah's injured knee acts up again, and he lets him go.
Survives the full-on like fully automatic assault pit bull, only to be taken down by poor ligaments. And maybe it's just me because I've had ACLs and MCLs replaced on. I was going to say several knees, but whenever I see somebody hit the ground that hard, my first thought is like, oh, they're going to hurt themselves. Mm-hmm. And then you get that sort of sympathetic pain.
Yes. Oh yeah. It's just that. Yeah.
God, I hate that.
Anytime I see somebody fall and land on their tailbone or like, on their back, you get the, that the shiveries or whatever, as Jamie calls them. But that foot chase is pretty amazing. And okay, so this is another. Johnny Utah is terrible at his job, right? If you're deep undercover, do you leave your FBI badge just conveniently placed somewhere where your girl that you're trying to, fool is in your house and she finds your FBI badge? Not good police work. She's not
effing around, man. She comes in and puts a couple rounds in. She's pissed.
Yes. She freaks out. Then they take him for some nice skydiving, which has some really good skydiving shots. What did we say before we started recording? Because you have been skydiving before. I have not.
Oh, yeah. I have. Well, legally, I have been skydiving 62 times. Illegally, probably in the 400, 500 range. And that was doing things that we weren't supposed to do because I wasn't licensed to do them. Anyway, but I first went skydiving with a friend of ours, and it wasn't. I remember it wasn't tandem; it was a static cord. So they took us up to 5,000 feet. You put your feet on the wheel, you grab the strut, you dangle your legs, You look over at the instructor. He gives you the spot when you're kind of over where you need to be. You look up and you let go. And then as you fall, you're sitting there trying to hold your arms and your feet, not kick your legs, but, try to hold yourself so that you're at least parallel to the ground. And then the static, I'm making gestures for all the people that can see you. So, and then that static line is attached to the actual parachute. Now, normally you have a little tiny parachute that comes out that creates like 180 pounds of drag, and that actually pulls the chute out. But this does it for you, and it's just like a little line, and it kind of velcros itself off, right? And I'm thinking, okay, cool. I saw Point Break. How hard could this be? Well, first off, no way in hell are you exiting an aircraft for the first time ever with your asshole puckered up tight enough to make diamonds that you are going to hold that position, much less fall into formation and hold hands, and found out that holding a conversation, pretty much impossible.
So it makes me wonder how they shot those scenes where they're like, how do they do that where they're, falling and they're having these conversations? I wonder how creatively I have to do that. I have to see if I can find some behind the scenes footage.
You could have them like, moving your mouth, even if they were doing that. I will say that Patrick Swayze is very, very, very good. At least, the stuff I was watching, because there's things like I was able to like rotate 360 one way, rotate 360 another way. I could flip over and then flip back. But like the stuff he was doing by like, hands out, like feet down, holding that like that T, could not do that. Straight up, straight down with head to the ground, I could do that. But you haul ass when you do that one. But never have a conversation. The only conversation I had mid-flight was a friend of mine was doing a tandem jump with the pilot's girlfriend who had come out to visit. He was originally from Wisconsin or some shit, and she came out to visit. And I kept giving him a hard time because his girlfriend was very attractive. I was like, you know what? Before this is over, your girlfriend's going to fall in love with me. She's going to kiss me. And he was just so irritated by that. He was a little, puritanical, this guy. Mm-hmm. He just like, oh, we're going to hold hands tonight. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, hold hands. So I managed, when they jumped out, I kind of jumped soon afterwards, and I held on to the guy, Tom, and told him what I was going to do. So there's three of us, and I kind of crawled up him, and I leaned in, and I yelled in her ear, like something stupid, and then kissed her. And then Tom, of course, they got somebody filming the whole thing. But, I'm literally screaming like this to be heard, because you're falling. There's a lot of wind, and mm-hmm. opening your mouth and getting those things to come out doesn't work that well. But goddamn, skydiving is so much fun. But my wife keeps telling me like, hey, you're a father, you're a husband, you have responsibilities. You don't get to ride motorcycles. You don't get to skydive, whatever.
Mm-hmm. That was an interesting story.
When we win the lottery, you and I, we're going to ditch the chicks. And then we are going to go out and we're going to Point Break the hell out of something. Mm-hmm. Yes.
Who you're talking to, Ryan?
Fucking dude,
probably the most risk-averse person you ever met.
You'll do it. It's so much fun. Look at it this way. When you exit that aircraft, you have two perfectly good parachutes. Two perfectly good, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. 100% chance. You open up one, you're going down to about 50. If you open up the other one, well, then you're fucked. So the odds are pretty good. You'll be fine.
So going back to the movie, they are holding Tyler hostage after they have their awesome, speed star skydiving thing. It looks fucking cool, and the people are doing it are super skilled at what they're doing, and
oh yeah,
it looks amazing. That's the strong point of the movie. So they do all this to say, hey, by the way, I've got your girlfriend, like sort of quasi girlfriend, hostage. You're going to have to go on this bank robbery with us, and of course it goes to shit. Everybody gets shot. And because they decided to go off their normal mission instead of just stealing from the drawers, they decided to go to the vault, and it just turns to shit. And then, of course, Pappas gets shot because you can't have an older partner in a movie if you're the younger cop, not get shot. Except for Lethal Weapon, Danny Glover, he just got roughed up a little bit. He didn't get shot and killed, but
I mean, he got the awful square squib thing. You could still see it under his shirt as he's rolling him over. He got the square squibs. Not as good as the shoe squib.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was pretty gross. Blood coming up. So it all goes to the point where, the jump without the parachute, that was fucking cool looking, and everything was cool.
Never happened. Never happened, but it was so much fun.
It looked cool. It looked cool as hell.
Yeah.
It looks cool. And of course, he gets away because his knee gets jacked up again, and then you see him. He chases him to Australia for the big storm, and then he winds up letting him go again so he can die in the wave. He throws his badge in the water. The end.
Which really, really, as a kid, you're like, yeah, man, fucking no one's going to tell him what to do. He's going to live his life. And then as an adult, you're like, you absolute piece of shit. You have responsibilities. He has killed people. He has ruined lives.
Yeah.
There are people that need some closure, and then you just let him go. And then teenage you was like, oh, that was so kick-ass, man.
Yeah,
He's
man.
not going to live. He's not going to live the way.
He's not going to be held down by society, man. He's not an FBI agent anymore.
Yeah, anymore. Not after that.
Yeah. This is an interesting thing I noticed during listening to the soundtrack. It actually has a decent Rat song at the end. That Nobody Rides for Free song by Rat. Actually pretty good. It's not, I was kind of surprised because Rat, when I think of them, I think of like Round and Round and You're in Love and all those other kind of, butt rock songs from the 80s. And this soundtrack is kind of like an intersection where all the good music, all the grunge stuff came out in 91, but they selected all the people for the soundtrack before that. So it's got Concrete Blonde and some other kind of like quasi alternative groups, but it still has Rat. But I was kind of surprised at the quality of Nobody Rides for Free that plays at the end of the movie. It's still Rat, but it's for Rat. But before we stop, that was Point Break. But let's talk about 1991 box office really quick. 91. You and I watched a shitload of movies in 1991. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, obviously seen that one. Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, I did not see. Still have not seen that movie.
Don't. You're not missing a damn thing.
That's why I'm not missing it. Home Alone, saw that one. Silence of the Lambs, seen that one. Did an episode on. Same with Terminator 2. City Slickers, Dancing with Wolves, Sleeping with the Enemy. I remember seeing Sleeping with the Enemy in the theater. I have no idea why I went to see that movie. I did see it with our friend and his girlfriend, and she was really mad at our friend because he didn't like the movie as much as he did.
Darn.
The Addams Family, Naked Gun 2.5, The Smell of Fear, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, Hook, Kindergarten Cop, Cape Fear. Man, so many of these movies I saw in the theater.
Oh, yeah.
Break, Fisher King, Out for Justice. Anybody see Richie?
Where's Richie?
He's upstairs. Godfather Part 3. Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
So sad.
I know.
So sad with that movie.
Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. The Doors. Jungle Fever, one of my favorite Spike Lee movies, still holds up really good.
I can't believe you went past King Ralph.
Well, King Ralph, I don't even think I ever saw that one.
That's what you don't need to. Don't.
Edward Scissorhands. Father of the Bride. Problem Child 2. Don't tell the mom the babysitter's dead.
Dude, Necessary Roughness. Come on.
Misery. FX2. I think it's the Hamlet with Mel Gibson. JFK. House Party 2. For the Boys. Hudson Hawk. American Tail, Five Will Goes West. Highlander 2, The Quickening, which does not exist in my mind. We still need to do the original Highlander sometime.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
With Juan Sanchez Ramirez Villalobos.
Child's Play 3, The Commitments, Ernest Scared Stupid. Not without my daughter. Career Opportunities, so that's Jennifer Connelly highlighting that one. Warlock, which we've done an episode on. Strictly Business. Harley Davidson and the Marlboro
Marlboro
Man.
Man. We both got there at the same time.
Yes, I've
Yeah.
not seen that one. Oh my god. Barton Fink. I remember this is a tale in when I was at UNM. I wanted to see the Barton Fink because it was Coen Brothers, and I like the Coen Brothers. I took a couple of my friends to see it, and they hated me for picking out that movie. It's like, I can't believe you picked out Barton Fink. This movie sucks so bad. And it is a very, very, very stylish Coen Brothers movie, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And it's not a very I don't know. It's not made for a major audience. It's not that relatable, but it is a good one. They just get giving me shit forever.
I have a hard time relating to you telling a story of you cajoling or forcing people into watching a movie and them not liking it.
Kickboxer 2, The Year of the Gun, The Unborn. I haven't seen that one. Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. That's actually pretty good.
I like that one a lot.
Yeah. There's a movie called McBain, but it's not McBain from The Simpsons.
That would be way better.
Rainier Wolfcastle is McBain. There's a movie called Whore. I think that's a Ken Russell movie with Teresa Russell in it. A Night of Life and a Cynical Prostitute forms the basis of Ken Russell's portrait of the world's oldest profession.
NC-17.
NC-17. All right. I'm going to have to check it out. But that was 1991. I remember watching a ton of movies because I was a senior in high school and had a video rental membership and a lot of free time. So watched a shitload of movies.
Lots and lots.
Next week, we're going to do the second of Christopher Nolan's Batman movies. We're going to do The Dark Knight, which is a pretty awesome movie. I have issues with it, but it is overall pretty good. So check that out for next week. And then starting in May, we're going to do Back to School Month with a lot of 80s school-related movies. I think the first one will be Prom Night, which barely qualifies as an 80s movie because it came out like in 1980. And it reeks of the 70s. There's 70s stench all over Prom Night. So, with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Let's take it back to the 80s, man.
Yeah, go back to the 80s.
I don't know. That 2 decades with some really kick-ass movies, 70s and 80s.
We are going to talk about, I think, 3 O'Clock High, and The Last American Virgin is the one I can't wait for us to talk about. And I can't remember which is the last movie of High School Movie Month, but I know that's 3 of them.
Oh, if it's not Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, I don't know.
Yeah, we could do that one too.
Got to be the triple lending.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Appreciate everybody who sent us in email. We also had an email from a listener named Jason, who mentioned that he really liked the Tremors podcast and recommended the other movies, including Tremors Shrieker Island.
Shrieker Island? Really? Okay, cool.
Yeah. So we'll have to check it out sometime. So thank you, Jason.
So
thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, this is my suggestion to all those guys. Get your friends to listen, okay? And then here's what you do. You get on that Buy Me a Cup of Coffee.
Yep. BuyMeACoffee.com.
Let's buy some cups of coffee. We get the big time sponsorship because we had to turn down the ball trimmers. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And then we would have time to watch all the movies. It's like a recurring theme with me now. After spending 2 days just watching shit tons of movies, I just want to watch more movies.
Me too. I'm in this movie watching mood. I want to watch some trash though. I want to watch like some Italian horror movies on Tubi.
Trash. You said it, not me.
Yeah. I want to see. I know it's trash. I love it though.
Okay, good.
So, well, thanks everybody.
Everybody have a good week. And thank you for listening to me reminisce and miss how fun jumping out of airplanes were.
Oh crap. We are on Threads. We are on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
We are on Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So check us out there.
Yep. The Retro Video Store. We're on the Threads.
Yep. So thanks a lot, everybody.
Everybody have a good week.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store podcast.